Good afternoon, everybody. It's a beautiful afternoon in Brisbane, and by the looks of it, it's a beautiful afternoon in Serbia, but we'll get to that in a second. My name's Kyl Reber, and this is the COVID Conversations. This is a chance for me to have conversations with people who are near, and in this case, very dear to me. And this is basically just a chance for me to just have a chat to some people, find out how things are going in their side of the world. I'll learn something new about them. You'll learn something new about them. And we get to see how it's all affecting them and what it's happening for them. You can follow all these conversations on my YouTube channel, but we'll have a chat about that later on. However, to my left or right is a man that if you are involved in a Bob Jones martial arts organisation or maybe other organisations, needs no introduction. He is my favourite Serbian by a long shot. He is over the past.
And you know only one.
And I only know one. And he's picked up an Australian sense of humour from all the times he's been over here. He has probably risen to hold the title of one of my martial arts mentors these days over the 7 to 8 years that I've gotten to know him very well. But enough about me. Let's talk about this guy who has been doing martial arts basically for the better part of 45 years. And as we said, and he laughed, he is on the lighter side of 50. So I guess that means he's been doing it pretty much his whole life. But as we all know, of late, he is known for and travels the world teaching Sistema. And not only that, he gets to have some very good chats based on some very, some very interesting topics. And he spends a lot of time, probably more time, maybe training his mind as much as he trains his body. But Alex Kostic, it is a pleasure to see you, my friend. How are you?
Likewise, good, great. It's in my country home, having a perfect lifestyle due to this virus, Unfortunately, very soon I have to go back to the city.
We've always had this discussion that you prefer you're about 50 kilometers outside of Belgrade.
Yes.
We've always had this discussion that you actually prefer to live there over Belgrade, but there's a little conversation back and forth with your wife and you about as to when this is going to happen. And as we said, maybe
never.
maybe this is you getting one up and going, see, we can come out here and then we can live here like this. Let's get straight into it, sir. The barbecue intro. I've got a coffee. G'day, my name's Kyl. What's your name, mate? What do you do?
My name is Alex Kostic.
And what do you do for a living, my friend? Tell me.
I teach martial arts, by accident.
By accident.
I never planned, it just happened.
So you've been obviously predominantly involved with Sistema, and you're tell us about your I guess give us the abridged version, your version of Sistema, your school of Sistema, what you call it. Tell us what your Sistema is for those who don't know it.
Originally I did karate, Shotokan karate, and then some kickboxing, and that was beginning 80s, late 80s. And then after that, try a couple here and there. When I went to Canada, I get I was like in Disneyland because at the time we had Sistema, Russian martial arts, and I started practice. I became obsessed with it. I traveled to Russia on several occasions. Because Russian martial arts, there's no Sistema as Russian martial arts. There are many different types of Russian martial arts. So I trained in almost every major school, and then eventually created my own perspective on it. And based on also my education, I studied philosophy at university. I learned some of the body psychotherapy things, and like stuff. I mixed everything together in a sense and started exploring, and this is how Homo Ludens came. Homo Ludens means the playing man in Latin, because I think the life is exploration. We have to always constantly change things, explore, look at the new things. Sometimes drop the old things, then go back to the old things, and it's a style dancing. Your freezes. You hear me? Something wrong with connection. Can you hear me? Yes, yes.
Yeah, we're freezing. We're freezing up a little bit, but we're winging it. So tell me,
that's okay.
Homo ludens, how does, I mean, like you said, you did Shotokan karate, but you were drawn to Systema. What drew you to that over? I mean, what said I don't want to do Shotokan anymore? I want to do this.
Well, I stopped Shotokan before. Then I went to kickboxing and stuff. Why? But why the Russian martial art? Because it was, to me, it looked very creative. You know, free in a movement and being able to be yourself and not to follow specific pattern, and kind of bring this your personality, your individuality, and possible creativity into the game. And it's also, that's one thing. Second thing, it was very light on the body. Actually, it's very healthy, because otherwise it's very hard. You know that. You know, I'm 56 now. I still can move, and I hope I'll keep moving. And that's efficiency of movement, and based on biomechanics, the proper biomechanics. So that was another thing. Plus, we have to look at the martial arts not only as a right now, here, now, competitive fighting skills, but rather that to integrate somehow in general life. If is that our passion, you know, somehow it has to be integrated in all what we do, and sustain with time. Because if you are very hard on your body and you're just struggling against it, eventually it'll take a toll. It becomes a struggle. That's why there's lots of possible psychological and physiological problems with people working very hard for the rest of their lives, you know, and stuff like that.
What and like you said, obviously something I've always loved having conversations about, philosophy and your take on the world through your study and through your reading. For those who don't know, I think Alex reads a book a day or something like that. What
I'm a slow reader.
But the books you read, you've obviously you've found a real way to, I guess, marry the two together, haven't you? Like Systema and your philosophy. And like I said, sometimes your seminars that I've done with you and the training I've done with you, there's been talking as much as training, but it's still learning, because we're, like you said, you're managing to get these two elements to integrate in, and then the physical that we do makes more sense because of what you're saying. Was that something that just came together? Like, just, you know, you sort of go, I can't imagine doing one without the other anymore now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but the question is, you know, like probably search for that big questions of who we are and what is the meaning of our lives. And some people come from different directions, you know. Sometimes you can go to martial arts club because you're bullied and then you want to fight back and learn how to do that. Or maybe you're a police officer, you need that for your work. Or you have this competitive or whatever the reasons, you know, like probably going back into my childhood and young age, it was a mixture of things. But one of the thing is somehow, I guess, watching these cheap Hong Kong movies, you know, and reading these books, and Bruce Lee, normally that was a number one character. It was something else, you know. It was also that path or road to meaning. And why? So how come, the question is, how come martial arts, anything you can be a gardener and, you know, like philosophize about life doing a garden. You can do anything you want. I'm reading a book it's called The Motorcycle, Philosophical Writing about motorcycles and meaning of life by Cambridge philosophy professor. Excellent book, you know. That's the book I'm reading in a moment. And so you can do anything. Motorcycle meaning of life, martial arts meaning of life. Why? But it has to be something. There is no meaning and there is no action. We are we are humans beings are embodied beings. We move and we meet others. There is no meaning without bodily action. So that's why specific things you can easily relate to that. For example, it's very hard to relate basketball and meaning of life, because basketball does not happen every day in a life on a street. You need court, but aggression, it can happen anytime in a life, like fighting, also internal aggression, like towards yourself, auto-aggression. It's happening all the time too. So the struggle, when we say word conflict and fight and whatever, says I'm fighting in my life or whatever, not necessarily you're fighting with another person, but we are using this term to sometimes to explain what's happening with our internal life, internal dialectics in a sense, and also external. That's why martial arts really has that capacity, because it deals with the fear, which is the greatest problem in our life. It deals with aggression. With all kind of things, like we use body metaphor speak to understand the world as we don't know the world around us out of abstract, Yeah, why we say lots of good work written on that. That's why I think martial art has the greatest capacity for that.
What I mean, obviously, like you now travel. How many seminars would you on average do a year, would you think?
I don't know, but I did about 300 international seminars so far. But per year, what I do, I try not to work summers and winters because it's a school holidays, and I want to be with my family. So 2 months in the summer, 2.5, and 2.5 months in the winter, and everything in between that. So pretty much, if you calculate, I work half of the year in a sense, but then it's a dance, I can go every 2 weeks somewhere. In Australia, I spend 2 to 3 weeks.
But how does that take off? How did that start? Because you started Systema in Canada, is that right?
Yes, with Vladimir Vasiliev, and I was there from almost very beginning. And they spent time I was there, and then he came around the world and people across would teach there. And then people who came to Toronto asked me if I would come to teach, and I never planned. It was others pushed me into it, and it just happened in a sense. It's very hard. It was not a project. As you know, I don't advertise myself. The only thing I put the clips other people make, and I'm terrible at that. They pushed me to do online courses. I tried. I made only promotional clip. I never continued with that because I'm a face-to-face person. I need real people. Yeah, I'm real.
Imagine what would happen if you actually promoted yourself.
No, but no. I think no. That wouldn't be me. That's paradoxical. That people don't understand.
It's not you.
I have a same problem. That's right. I have the same problem at home. My wife pushes me, like, well, we should open this business or start this business. And like last time we had this conversation, says, I'm sorry, like I just cannot do that. I cannot open a restaurant. I just can't. I do what I do till I do, and that's it. Like I follow that drive, and like Socrates had his diamond there that he never wanted to betray, and he even died. I'm talking about Plato's dialogues in Socrates' trial. And I always reflect on that. What is it? Otherwise our life was worthless. Like I'm not saying that everybody has to be martial arts instructor, but we have to follow that, whatever that is. Uniqueness. Each of us is really you cannot repeat any person, like we are totally unique. But that's the greatest fear, to live your uniqueness. I'm not saying I'm living it, but at least I can preach. I call myself mumbling master because I mumble in my seminars, and sometimes I have no idea. People ask me, so what about that? What about that you mentioned in a class? Can you a little bit discuss that? I said, what did I mention? I have no idea. I have no idea. I said, we can start new conversation, but I have no idea what I talk about. I'm sorry. That's why I apologize at the beginning of the seminars. I say, please take, like have these things on TV before, like you're
Disclaimer.
not responsible. Yes, I'm not responsible for what I'm saying.
You have been known to duck off on a tangent also in seminars, but it's a good tangent. I mean, it's fantastic, and it's just, I think you would often, I mean, surely you look every now and then, and I know you take things you don't take things very seriously much at all, which I think is a fantastic thing in your personality. But there must be times you look back and you just go, how good is this? Like, I get to do this. You get to see all these places, meet all these people, came from just starting a martial art, and let's just see where this goes.
Stop.
And like you said, it's self-made.
I'm like,
You there? There we go.
yes, I'm there. I'm here. Yes.
Yeah, you're just a self-made. It's just self-made, and it's just come to fruition, hasn't it? And it's still going.
Well, when you say self-made, like to make something, you need a project. I never had a project. It was spontaneous unfoldment along the way. Again, listening to that, whatever that is, and it looks like a madman sometimes to myself. Like it's very hard when you don't have this framework in a life. Generally, and sometimes I feel angst for a moment. And then my family comes in, and because it's like walking on the sea, like on the water. It's nothing to hang on, nothing to hold on. It's a constant subversion, very important, constant subversion, but not nihilism, and not no far from it. Like I'm deep believer. If you ask me what I believe that human has this tremendous potential, to open up as a being of love, of fearlessness, of eternal in experience, not eternal in a body, but eternal in experience. So it is liberated from all the fears and experience this great joy of a couple of days ago. I do lots of manual labor here in the country since I came here. Several projects I open up, building things and stuff, And then once I walked up there is a little store there about a couple 100 meters, and it was tremendous colors on the sky. And I turned around, and I was walking uphill, and I felt such a joy, like I think I wanted to explode from out of nowhere, just from being whatever here. And that there is a transcendental state, definitely, of a liberated state in a sense, But
Yeah.
I think it's very wrongly interpreted in many new age movements, and as something you can get to it by following certain practices and stuff like that. No, it's a gift. Only we can do subversion, having a courage not to be in a control of anything, like not to succumb to any kind of thought structures and ideologies, but walking constantly like Jesus walk on the water. I think that's a symbology of that, in a full faith. But it's very, very hard. It's very hard because you want to cling on something, like you don't want to lose things you possess internally, externally too. And but that's the only way. It's a way of constant subversion, critical thinking towards yourself. Whatever you try to cling on, put into the question, so I call it implosion in a sense. We have to implode from inside. Yes. All the belief and everything. And what stays as a possibility of that openness that you experience other and otherness, like as a gift, as a tremendous state, that experience. I think it's very simple. It does not require any kind of simple. I mean, I contradict myself. It's very hard, but it does not require any practices. It can be any kind of practice. It is more that you are constant aware of what you're doing. Like, and are you doing this authentically? Or is this yourself? Is this your deep wish, desire? Everybody have to find their own desire, deep down, and we all have it.
And I think you're right. Like you said, my words about self-made. It's funny, like you're exactly right. Like you haven't in effect made anything. It's just happened. You just started teaching, and that led to that, and that led to that, and that led to that. And
Yeah.
like you said, like we were talking earlier, and we'll talk later about the amount of like work that you've lost, if that's what you want to call it, work. Um, but now that's just it is what it is. Like you said earlier, we can't control it, so we just have to go with the flow. But
Yes.
yeah, big word
Yeah.
for you, flow. Tell me, Mr. Kostic, I'm going to love to hear this one. What's something you're passionate about?
Uh, motorcycles.
So those who know Alex well enough will know this. I expected this answer. Um, Tell me, because every time you come over here, we either end up in a motorcycle shop, or if you're down with Matt Ball, you'll go for a ride. You're always taking back gear. How does was that has that evolved over time? Were you always into bikes as a kid, or?
Listen, I'm not a real hardcore motorcyclist. It was a more fantasy that I really try. I don't want to go into any kind of psychoanalytic explanation, but as a kid, as a young boy, I was obsessed with it. We are
Mm,
talking 70s, and we are talking communist Yugoslavia, so we did
mm.
not have these beautiful bikes here and there. And then every time the foreigners would come, I would stand sometimes for 15 minutes looking at a bike. It was this beautiful, yes, CB Hondas at the time, Z Kawasaki's and stuff. And so I don't know why, but it became such a passion and fantasy when I was a kid, going to bed and dreaming about motorcycles, probably dream about myself, how the perfect motorcycle would be for me, so it
Mm,
was a hidden, yes. Now, I don't know, it's, I don't want to, as I said, I don't want to go into that. There
mm,
are some possible, if you deconstruct this and if you take certain patterns in my own life, maybe we'll find it. But it really doesn't matter. Who cares now? So what I'm doing with motorcycles, I'm keeping this tremendous feeling with me. As I said, I'm not traveling around the world with motorcycles. I'm not such a skillful to jump with the motorcycles and motorcyclist. But like I love it. I go to internet. I'm thinking about the next bike and like stuff. So same thing I did as a kid, and
mm.
I didn't want to erase that. I want to preserve the comic books. I collect the comic books that I don't read. Like I don't have time to read it, but I have a full big preserve this kids stuff with me because they create a joy in me. So they're not meaning of life and I'll ride or die. It is just preserving the childhood, because this is how we get through this tremendous state. We don't remember, but all I'm talking about is these rare moments of ecstasis or ecstatic feeling that you open
Mm.
up and you out of nowhere you feel this great sense of joy and without reason, in a sense. As a kids, we had lots of these. And that's why even in the Bible, they say the only way it's at one point that Jesus says, let the kids come forward, let
Yeah.
the children come forward. It means also to me, like in us, that only through child in us, we can open up to this tremendous state of harmony and being and joy. And again, homo ludens, and play in a life, play in a life. So
Do
nothing.
you? There's nothing. I like the way you say this. There's no real like. I mean, you could analyze it and all the rest of it, but like you said, you just like to ride bikes, and ever
That's
since
right.
I've met you, I just like to go for a ride, and you can do the whole I feel free and all the rest of it. But and you'll do some pretty long rides, won't you? Like you'll do a full day rides and that sort of thing, won't
Oh
you?
yeah, no. My son is a wrestler. And he sometimes goes to Croatia tournament or to different places. And sometimes before them, I go early in the morning, and then I go for 500 kilometers or 450 kilometers. And sometimes I will teach seminars. I went to Italy teaching, and I was planning also for the next season, if it's a spring and summertime, maybe go all the way to Germany or whatever if I
Oh,
teach seminar over there. And to me, it's a great meditation, on a bike, because being on a bike is really being different in a car. Like being in a car, it's like being in a box, like, and then you get tired when you get out. tiredness from motorcycle is totally different. It's same as tiredness from the good workout, like, and then that coffee after the, or beer after the riding is not the same, like coming out from the car, at least for me. These are fantasies, brother. Like I hate this big mystical and new age crap and stuff like that. We are humans. We should live very, very, very simple lives. These barbecue, how you Australians call Barbie things.
Barbies.
And
yes, I'm Alex Kostic's resident Australian translator, just so everybody knows.
So I learned the Barbie and Breaky and all these things that I enjoy with you with the morning.
Well,
you're spoiled. It's a nice, good restaurants you're taking me now. So.
Alex always goes back. You always go back a couple of kilos heavier from Australia, don't you?
That's right. Big brekkie, and it's not breakfast. Like it's a dinner you eat in the morning.
That's awesome.
So that's what I'm saying. Basically, just to round this, it's very, very simple. But be afraid of that. We want big goals. We want big visions. To hide in it. Because when you start living simple life, you're responsible for yourself, and it means that the moment-to-moment relationship with others, with your family, with people, with neighbor, with yourself, it's always new. And when it's always new and it's always challenging, it creates a great sense of responsibility. So running away in a big system of any kind, it's a great escape. It gives answers for you. Like it is not you anymore, but it gives you a sense of comfort, illusionary sense of comfort. And compared to the responsibility of being alone and always anew, because can you imagine that every moment is a new challenge for you that does not have prescription, and that responsibility means to respond to something that demands you in a moment. And that's why we run in the big systems, big ideologies, big groups, big whatever, because the group has an answer, the ideology has an answer. I don't have to think. Somebody else is responsible.
Someone else's job.
That's why you wear uniforms in the police and military. That's one of the things. Not just to identify it as a one, but then you pass responsibility, like to the greater thing.
Yeah, exactly. Tell me, Mr. Kostic, something on your bucket list. Something that you want to achieve that you haven't yet achieved or you haven't yet done that you'd like to do. Anything.
Okay, when it comes to myself, normally I want to see my kids grow in a good people. I never tell them about success and everything else. Like I try to make individuals, in terms of are able to think and to be ethically, like pure as much as they can, and never I talk about education, so they should educate themselves and we discuss certain issues. I'm not pushing too much. I never talk about success, like, or you should choose this occupation so you make more money, otherwise I would betray myself. But so good health to my kids and tell me normal. But if you ask me for myself, what I would like to achieve, to preserve good health because I'm aging, so I can have more and more these beautiful experiences. A new motorcycle. I never had a brand new motorcycle. I hope my wife is
we're back on the motorbikes again.
And what else? Like really that's scary because, like I'm very, very enjoying where I am and what I'm doing.
It was a question. It was a question I really wanted to ask you because I knew you would give me this answer, because you want, one thing I've always found with you, you really do want for very little. So to ask you something that you still really want to do, you've given the right answers, because you don't really want things, you want experiences. So you want to see your children grow up. You want to you want to grow old so you can see your children grow up. It's
and children and friends. Australia, and like, for example, I have these amazing people also in Europe, I build the friendships around the world, not organization. I don't have organization. Homo Ludens, there are a couple of clubs call themselves Homo Ludens, but that's their own. I don't take anything. I don't demand anything, like it's their own will. I said, go ahead. But I build friends. And for me, it's very, very hard to work in environments when you don't have a friend. For example, right now, after all these years of teaching internationally, uh, all these places I go, these are my friends, and that we
Yeah.
can like talk. Yes, they're always welcome to come to my home, and everything's okay. No money issues. I many times say, well, if you cannot make a seminar, big one, don't worry. You know, we figure out. I never had a single incident about any kind of finance or anything else. You know, so it's God bless. You know, like that I have so many beautiful, beautiful friends around the world. And Australia is a special place because, you know, like you guys build after many years, and I come there and spend, you know, like 2 to 3 weeks. And and Matt came here, and Bill, and then Miles. He's not part of the organization, but he's a very nice man from Canberra. You know, like a very brilliant man. You know, very educated, very interesting man. So this is what fulfills me. You know, like sometimes when I feel this depth of nothingness, in a sense, and angst comes in, what pulls me out, it's this not big fantasy dreams and stuff, but memories, and that memories of beautiful experiences, this great joys of being with my kids and my friends, and these travels and these conversations and stuff like that. And that pulls me, that gives me direction, you know.
That brings you, yeah, it brings you back in. And that's, yeah, exactly. It's it's definitely with you, it's the experiences over possessions, which we have talked about in the past as well. So this is one that I really do want to hear about. So you're in Serbia, in Europe.
Yes.
Tell me how it's affecting you at the moment, everything that's going on, COVID. And like you said, you touched on it earlier about what we'll take away from it, but what would you, I don't know, give us the world according to Alex Kostic, I guess, on COVID 101. 3, 2, 1, go.
Is this the same as what we talked earlier before you had this 3,
Yeah,
2,
we
1
had a
go?
little chat about it earlier, but like just maybe give us.
Did other people listen to that chat?
No, this is just you now, so go for it.
Ah, okay. So I can repeat this. Yes. Well, again, connected to I received so many clips. I watched stuff like that, and about conspiracy. I have no friends who went through it, and it's not a joke. One from Serbia and some other from different countries, and they reported the same symptoms, and they had a difficult times in the hospitals with their lungs and high fever for 10 days. They couldn't get the fever down. So something about it, it's real. Now, the whole situation about quarantine, you know, one thing I can talk about, and what we talked earlier about, it is that, again, we have to invent. We have to invent anything just to not face the no-thingness, you know, something that is visible, that's something that we have no control, that something is threatening, a possible threat and stuff. So it's easier to fall for any kind of conspiracy theories, aliens are coming, you know, whatever, and preparing us for them to be their slaves, or Satan is gonna eat us, you know, like whatever. I have no idea. There's so many things. Then being able just to sustain, you know, it's not being in a moment. You're always in a moment. All this, again, new age crap. But sustaining the moment. Otherwise, everybody will, okay, be in a moment, you know, we're all happy and living eternal joy. No, it's about sustaining the moment. Because moments are happening all the time. What do you do with that? How you face that? And something which you either escape or create again the framework that you feel comfortable and have an orientation in it, or just be quiet and sustain without any kind of interpretation, with any kind of whatever, and handle that what comes your way. And in a global sense, that same thing with the coronavirus. People jump in all kind of conclusions. It's easy to belong to this victim mentality of we are under the attack, we should unite and fight for whatever we are fighting, or just being quiet and wait, listen. And that's very difficult. And that's
we
why
were
it's very
talking about
good.
that earlier. Just being,
Yes.
just be patient. Just be patient.
Well, that's one of the key things in a if you can call this the practices of the soul and spiritual practices. it's to be patient and wait. And why waiting? Waiting for what? Waiting for that which is your own diamond. What we mentioned about Socrates. Waiting to that eternally what speaks to you personally, and always unfolds if we are able to wait and listen and to sustain. The sustain is hard because sometimes that you think somebody's behind the door, and instead of wait for that you jump in and you open the door. As a kid, for example, as a month, no, you just wait until show its face or not show its face. And that's very hard because staying in your center is very, very hard. Even that's why in the martial arts practice we talk about center, not give up your gravity center and stuff. And psychological or spiritual sense is the same thing. Stay in your center.
Do you think
and there is no universal center, it's your center.
No. Do you think, and just getting back to the be patient, like there's been I'm not sure how long you guys have been in lockdown over there, but we're into, I guess you'd say, probably our 7th, I guess in some cases you could call it our 8th week. And people are becoming very impatient. Like they want things to open back up. They want economies to start back again. Even though we were initially told we could be months, we're only a couple of months. Is it the same with people over there now? They're becoming maybe impatient, like it's just, and you just want to say, just wait. Is that how it is?
Yes, well, that's basically city culture.
Yeah.
Because people live in apartments in Europe, in Belgrade, mostly people live in buildings. And we'll have lots of experience from NATO bombing of 72 days and the wars and all kind of stuff. But still, you're right, exactly the same thing. It's part of the human nature. And I think I can connect this. I'm not competent to talk about that because I was in a wonderful place in my country home, as I see the mountains there.
Yeah, I mean, look at this. But
and I do.
You notice a difference being in the country to being in the city? The country people are handling it different to the city people?
Well, country people, no change with them. They continue working in the field. Yeah, nothing changed in their lives at all, and even when they drink beer in front of the store there after a hard day of work, and they don't follow any kind of, they laugh at these things, and so, I was more paranoid than them, when they come to the store, they don't care. They want to hug you.
Because what's the problem? Because again, they probably feel, like you said, to them it's just another day. Whereas I guess the city people, like you said, there's so much going on there. And Belgrade, I think, has a dense, like you said, has a dense population in apartments and that sort of thing. But you were saying earlier, the numbers over there, you guys aren't doing too bad as far as infections and deaths and that sort of thing is going.
No. Apparently not. Like I said, about 10,000 infected, about 210 people died so far, and it's going down. Yesterday it was 58. If you can trust them, whatever numbers they give you, but everything's opening up. And I remember the first day it was so many hospitals were full with the people from fights and drinking. First time they lifted police hours. Police hour was from 6 o'clock till 5 o'clock in the morning. So the first day they lifted, I was reading report, the doctor in intensive unit, she says, we should go back and every day have a police hours because there's so many beat.
That's what we've noticed. Our crime's gone right down. So how long was the curfew for?
Well, it was for how many weeks? Since March 20th or something, till about a couple of days ago. So full April.
6 weeks.
6 weeks, yes. Approximately 6 weeks was total curfew, and weekend was total curfew. Weekend from Friday, 6 o'clock till Monday, 5 o'clock.
You could not go out for the whole weekend.
No.
But see, you'd be going, how good is this? I get to stay home.
You know what? I would never go for my front yard here because every morning when I wake up, I have my coffee and reading, and after that, I'm building a shed. I'm building all kind of different things, working a little bit in the garden, and so it's ultimate lifestyle. The kids wake up and then help them with the homework, and
Mm.
together we do things. And at night I watch with my wife some TV series and shows and stuff like that. So it's, I actually, being whole day outside and working, I watch TV show for 15 minutes. She gets angry. Like I fall asleep.
Are you like me and you're getting up in the morning and not having a clue what day it is, or are you like that too?
Yeah. Yes, yes. And I love it. I love it. I think, you know what? That's how life should be. The problem is the cities are good stuff if you take a model of the cities, what would be a Greek polis, that the centers of culture and meeting and new, but today, unfortunately, cities are became commercial centers.
Yeah.
That people are living there and serving, being a catering service for the few companies and stuff like that. So it's not anymore. Are you working 9 to 5, or then in traveling you spend 2 hours and then you get tired home and stuff. So that's not the same city like city should be. I'm not against cities, because cities should be, but as a centers of culture, centers of exchange, centers of meeting, and then smaller cities, for example, will be good for that. But today's city, how many people have a chance to go to theaters and real theaters and cultural events? They're working whole day, and like they cannot wait to get home and rest and spend 1 hour with the family effectively a day.
No, exactly.
If you're like majority of people working very hard and staying overtime and stuff. So country living is the proper living, near the city. So the idea would be that we have local cities there with all the goodies that we can go once in a while and meet, and then go back in our beautiful setup there with like gardens and animals and being outside, doing things and stuff. But that's how I see things. I'm a city boy. I grew up in downtown and spent all my life like that. And then after that, I live in Toronto downtown. But still, I'm very against that type of lifestyle. Having a family, maybe for young people, they should go to city, meet each other, and get new experiences. But when you're a family person, you should get away from the city. Having a big, like yours, a big garden and
Big
yard and
backyard.
dogs.
Totally agree. What is that something? So I guess the final thing, Alex, is what would you hope that maybe society, is there something you would hope society might learn a little bit from this moving forward, or what would you hope is maybe a positive outcome out of this?
Yes, a good question. I'm thinking about it all the time. You know what? When you say society, again, it's a personalized concept. Like, who is society? What is society? It's just a word. It's a category. There are individuals there, and as like the rich will try to get more rich always. Because the gangsters will be gangsters and stuff like that. On general level, in terms of education and stuff, you know what? I don't know if. Unfortunately, the only threats like this can maybe for short time reshape somebody's perceptions. But you know what? Sorry, but I'm not optimistic about that. There'll be lots of talk. They'll bring lots of people on TV, sociologists, philosophers, psychologists, blah, blah, blah. And I feel continue the same, because the root is very deep. As I mentioned, the root is something what we call it. I don't want to go into any kind of academics talking here is Western metaphysics. Like, I'm not sure. Like, I have no vision. What I believe in a humans, in a person. I believe that we are made of something very brilliant, very shiny, very infinite, very deep, and each of us personally should work on that. And when you have a critical mass, like pretty much transform it as ideal, but socially, as a social, very hard, because huge industries, huge capital, huge powers, lots of weapons, lots of strategies. We are in a deep shit, in a sense, in terms of civilization. Maybe we're not gonna feel as a generations. So, you know what? I have no answer. Like, what we can learn, we should individually learn. Like, and reflect on how we felt. I was excellent. So I have nothing to reflect on.
You're having a ball.
Yeah, I heard the ball. Yes. It was a great. Even I had a dog. My father-in-law dog, because he's a retired man and they're not allowed to walk outside. So we took his dog. So I had a full package here, 2 kids, dog, wife, 2 cars, a motorcycle, typical middle class Western dream, like. But
But
anyway,
obviously,
answer answer is I have no idea. I don't think we're gonna learn much. Um, Unfortunately, my answer is negative in that sense. As much as I believe in humans individually, but I think that impersonal power of what we call capitalism. I'm not talking about basic capitalism. I'm talking about this neoliberal, big corporational capitalism, big powers, big things. They are the ones from top down influencing, us, and very hard to move. Trust me, very hard to move.
the only other thing I'd ask, Alex, and we haven't touched on it yet, obviously, travel is a massive part of what you do for a living. So that's basically, we were talking earlier before we went to record. Obviously, pretty much everything until the end of the year is on hold for you.
I know.
You have that great attitude of what will be, but do you still go, when am I going to be allowed to, like, you can't book anything at the moment because you don't really know.
No.
So what do? You just
That's
wait.
That's why.
Back to the waiting. We wait.
Yeah, that's why. Yes, and that's why I got married. My wife works.
She's listening, by the way.
I'm joking. She's not in a good state too so far. But I don't know. What can I do? I wait again. As we mentioned earlier, I wait. I'll see what's gonna happen, and then after that, we'll see. It's not good in terms of my work, and economics is not so good. But you know what? I don't take it. I do what I have to do, as I mentioned. Like building my shed and.
Well, you live.
My great escape, reading my book.
You build a shed, but you live, as I said, you and your family live very simply. So I guess it'll. I keep getting back to it, but yeah, you're just gonna wait and just see what happens.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, we live good, compared to the ordinary people here. Like we live in. She has a good work, and I'm traveling, and I don't have as my needs, my kids' needs also. I try to push my kids into the creative lifestyle rather than buying toys, and they hardly had any toys, in the sense they're both athletes, and Wolf is really internationally already wrestling and stuff, and they read a lot also. I push that, I created that passion in them, especially young one. He's only 9, and I don't know how many books he read, more than, he's constantly reading something before he goes to sleep. And so we live good, but simple in that sense. We don't require it. As I said, the only passion I have motorcycles, but I cannot complain. So far, we lived very good lifestyle. Being here in Serbia, not having any mortgage, having a country home here and with a pool and stuff, it's a privilege. Unfortunately, sometimes I don't feel comfortable even with that, because I see lots of people, like in a difficult situation, and sometimes I'm in a pool here during the summer and I see villagers all sweaty on a tractor pulling the thing, and I'm in a pool having a, like beer and swimming and stuff.
Oops.
So you cannot be happy, fully happy, using this concept of happiness when other your brother and sister. When when I talk about that, I talk about any human being, like having a difficult time.
And
Every 7. Yeah.
And I was just going to say, I remember seeing a good friend of yours and mine, Matt Ball, wrote something about a week ago, saying it's very hard at the moment because I am too. I'm very lucky that Helen's still working full time and we're able to limp our way through this. But then there are people in other countries, thousands upon thousands of new cases a day and all the rest of it. So it is sometimes hard for us to go, how good is this? But then we stop and look at the news, or we look somewhere else and go, God, there is others out there that are just so hard, doing it so hard at the moment. So yeah, you're right. That is a hard thing to stomach sometimes.
Yes, that's why politically it's very important that when we talk about future of civilization, that we find some ways of collective responsibility and care. You know, as I mentioned again, this hierarchical neoliberal capitalism that, you know, people are just objects and screws in a big machine. You know, it's no good. I'm not talking about going back to some kind of communism, whatever, which is again the big problem, but rather some middle way of handling society and caring for each other in a society. So it is again, I have no answers. I have my own visions, but because I'm more focused from, there are two perspectives always in a life, what they call a God's perspective, when you look things from outside, and then from inside. That from outside is very hard to change, you know, like you see that you're insignificant little piece of nothing, you know, like in a big cosmos. But from inside, it's a you know, like it's the most valuable treasure. Like God's eye, internal eye, it's the one that very responsible for ourselves and stuff. And this is where we can do a lot of things, you know, in our own environment, in our own lives, in our own being. And this is how it infects everything else. So like Corona infects with their contagiousness, you know, like we should be people that we can be contagious to others in a good sense, you know.
Well,
unfortunately, when you watch TVs and series, it's usually these negative characters or angry characters and whatever fucked up characters are contagious, you know, like, and it's very I mean, people who make money on that, they don't care about how they just want to sell, and it's easier to sell on something which is easily accepted and imitated than something which requires a hard work, you know, like that's not going to sell for sure. So that's why I'm saying, you know, it can be very hard. We have to develop such a strong critical thinking of ourselves first and our stands and the world around us, you know, to preserve sanity in this world and teach our kids. Otherwise, you know, it's just become something else, not humans in a human body, but something else. Because being a human is it's a task. It's not given. It's a serious task. Yes,
it's something we have to constantly strive to be.
that's
Alex Kostic, it is always a pleasure to always speak to you and see you. And I got to see a glimpse of this home that you always talk to me about. I want to really thank you for your time and I guess your view on what's happening, because in a good way, it's very much it's a very different slant to a lot of other people's. And I love the fact that you can always have this very patient view of life and what everything is about. So, mate, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. I know.
Thank you, Kyle.
I had to educate Alex on how to use Zoom. So this is Alex's. Alex is a first-time Zoom user, and so we have had a little bit of breaking up through the interview. But guys, thank you for listening, and mate, thank you so much. I really hope that I get to see you sometime in the next 12 months.
Thank you, and yes, and my love to all Australian people and all friends from Australia, New Zealand, and New Caledonia. Because when I fly there, I fly to these three places, and I miss you guys, and I hope this gonna pass, and we're gonna see each other very soon.
I think I think that's going to be a priority, my friend. I think you are high on the list of people to get back over here. But mate, thank you so much. I'll let you get a little bit of reading and shed building in. Thank you, my friend.
No, I'm going for painting now.
Oh, painting today. Oh, okay. Sorry, my bad. Guys, if you want to get in touch with Alex, he has a very active Facebook page. So you can contact him via Facebook. But you can also, if you wanted to contact him via maybe myself or Matt Ball, we can get you in touch with Alex if you're interested in any training or seminars, whenever they will be. Other than that, I really hope you guys take the time to listen to these interviews and more. You can subscribe to the YouTube channel, which is KYL Reber. You can also go to kylreber.com.au, and you can also go to my Facebook page. But guys, thank you so much for listening, and thank you to, as I said, a very good friend and one of my mentors, Alex Kostic. We're going to finish up there. Thank you, brother. I'll let you get back to some painting. And
Thank you. Bye-bye.
all soon. Goodbye.